Hey, it's the KNWLDG podcast. I'm your host, Knowledge, and to my left, I have the lovely, the wonderful voice of reasons. Tell them who you are.
Voice of Reason, a.k.a. Miss EP.
And then on the phone, live and direct from somewhere on the East Coast, probably somebody's boxing gym or somebody's daughter. Who do we have on the phone?
Hey, it's the fifth man. It's your boy Rel. I ain't nobody's daughter or nothing tonight, but I did just leave the gym. Just got that good workout in. I'm on the west side of Manhattan right now. Bringing it to you live. Let's get it, baby.
All right, we got a whole lot to talk about right now, man. We got a couple of different things that have happened over the past week, man. It's been interesting. Before we get to it, I want to ask you guys, have you guys seen Monique's interview with Leonard, a.k.a. Charlemagne the God?
Woo! Yeah, I saw it. I caught that one live. That was a good one. I was kind of disappointed because I thought Charlemagne was gonna go harder, but at the same time, I was glad he was real respectful and let her. I feel like she talked herself into a circle, and then the whole daddy thing kind of threw me off.
Yeah, let's talk about daddy. that. Let's talk about that later on, man. We're not gonna get to that quite just yet. We got a couple other things we got to discuss first. The first thing we're gonna discuss is your favorite president. Yo, it seems like we talk about this guy every single. Did you say Reagan? What?
I take Reagan over this dude.
That ain't my favorite president. My president is black. But no, this guy, our commander in chief, current president, says that had he been there during the school shooting, he would have ran up in there without a gun. Now I want to know what y'all think about this.
Face. I wish you could see my face right now. Really? That's what we doing? We just gonna lie like that?
Oh my God.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Come on, dog. Like, yo, you so Miss EP, you posted on the page that GIF from when he was on stage talking, giving a speech. And somebody, I guess, made a threatening motion toward him or tried to jump on stage.
Right.
And we saw exactly how much he wouldn't be counted on in a situation like that.
Right. Orange almost turned brown really quickly.
Yeah.
Yo, you said he had to check his drawers, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had to check his Depends. Like, hey, y'all think Donald Trump wears Depends? Y'all think he wears Depends?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know if they got
did.
a size big enough for him, to be honest.
Nah,
He's a
trust me.
little chunky.
They got a Depends big enough for him. I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't shock me though. I don't want to put that. Man. I don't want to put that rumor out there or nothing like that, but it wouldn't shock me. So
yeah,
it wouldn't shock me either. I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna keep it classy for at least the first 15 minutes.
right.
Okay.
I wanted to say something pretty awful too, but I think I'm trying to keep it together.
You're trying to make sure your chi and your chakras align.
Yeah,
getting your namaste on. I ain't even mad at you for that. I think
his statement came from a good place though. Like I think it sounded nice, but we all know that he really wouldn't do that.
Let's be perfectly honest about this. You know what I'm saying? So he called the deputy that did not go in a coward and said that had he been there, he would have ran up in there. So you mean to tell me that Donald Trump, who got multiple deferments for a boil on his butt and flat feet, I guess, when it was time for him to serve his country, is going to run up in there and play Rambo without a gun. Meanwhile, this deputy who was trained, had body armor, and albeit a smaller firearm, chose not to go in.
I think it comes across so awful when he tries to make a statement that is a statement for the people. Like, this is what the people think, or this is what the people would do. But when it's coming from him, it's not genuine, so it just comes across like a load of shit.
Well, yeah. I mean, it comes across because it is a load of shit, to be perfectly honest. I mean, here's my thing. Everybody can Monday morning quarterback this shooting situation as much as they want to, okay? And I say that all the time. Like, don't Monday morning quarterback a situation that requires a certain level of bravery or a certain level of know-how, understanding, tactical proficiency, stuff like that. Because you find out very, very quickly what type of person you are when that first round whizzes by your head or that first punch is thrown at your face. And so the thing is, you mean it's like there are people who are trained soldiers And now, Sean, you've been in the military. You know that there are soldiers who, when the ish hits the fan, they may fold.
Yeah.
They will crumble.
Yeah,
There's
a lot of different reactions.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different reactions.
I mean, think about it. Why do you think they hand out? I mean, it sounds funny to say it, but why do you think they hand out combat diapers in the military in combat zones? I mean, because when you get scared, your body evacuates. Yeah, people need them. Your body evacuates. Everybody's not a stone cold hardened killer. Everybody's not Rambo. You're not. Special forces guys train for years and years and years to be able to do what they do. And you have to be a special type of individual to do that. And everybody is not a Navy SEAL or Special Forces. I'm sorry.
They're not. And then, even in my case, I remember my first firefight, which really wasn't a firefight. We took fire and didn't know where it was coming from. But I'm weird. I'm different. So I'm in the infantry unit, and that was my first deployment. I was a young private, and I see the grass in front of me fly up, and then I hear the sounds from the AK. I start laughing. That was my nervous, oh shit reaction.
Yeah.
And my sergeant's like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Are they shooting at us?" And I'm just laughing. And he's like, "Yeah, dumbass, get down." I did the same thing in Iraq the first time I got my first mortar, my set of mortars coming in at us. I heard the sirens going off. I heard boom, boom. I started laughing. I was like, "Yo, they really shooting at us, huh?"
See, that's
my old shit reaction.
Right. And see,
then I move.
And everybody has their own reaction. Like, I know some people whose first reaction, like, and it sounds weird, some people's first reaction is to just break out running. It doesn't matter what direction. And that's honestly, I think that's most people's reactions when the issue hits the fan is to run. Some people break out running. Some people laugh. I know one guy, I kid you not, whenever it's about to hit the fan, he starts shedding tears, but he's the person that you want standing next to you when it hits the fan. Like, it's really crazy to see this guy with tears rolling down his face and punching somebody repeatedly in the mouth. Like, it's the most amazingly hilarious yet scary thing I've ever seen in my life. So, I mean, for Donald Trump to be somebody who we know for a fact, ain't built like that, so to speak, in our vernacular, to claim that he was going to run up in there like Rambo. Come on, dog. Come on.
I ignored that entire statement. I'm like, I know he ain't mean that.
Well, and I'm glad you said ignore. One more person we should be ignoring is Stacey Dash. Did you know she was in a movie that just came out this week with Dame Dash?
Yeah, honor up.
So
I had no clue.
Yeah, I found out about it indirectly. I think I was looking at Dame's new book, Culture Vulture, and I think somebody directed me toward the movie, and I was like, do I really want to see Dame Dash in anything other than, state property? Like, what is this movie about? Do you know what it's about, Sean?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of. So this is the backdrop I got on it. I'm gonna check it out. But like you, when I saw the cover for it, it had Dame Cam and Stacey Dash on it, and I was like, what? That's an odd pairing. But pretty much it's based on a true story with real characters, and it's about Dame and Cam and how they grew up before Rockefeller. So it's like talking about street life and Dame's OGs and how, being loyal comes back full circle. And, that's Dame's whole thing, being loyal and living honorably, and that's his whole thing. So it might be an interesting flick to check out. The book I heard was good. I heard the book was good. I think I'm definitely gonna check that out, because I don't always agree with Dame, but he says things that work as long as you follow his entire playbook. Now, it takes some confidence in yourself and you need a good mouthpiece, Paul. See, now I'm talking like Dame, Paul. But you need a good mouthpiece. You need a good mouthpiece for that game plan to come full circle. But Dame know what he's talking about. So that book might be, a good read. So I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, I definitely want to get it too, man. I definitely want to get the book.
Yeah,
but
the movie's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to see Stacey Dash do anything, especially since she announced that she's running for Congress. Did you see that?
That was another odd. I saw that too. I'm like, you're in this movie, and you don't look flattering on the cover. I think you got like a lollipop or something in their mouth.
I don't even know, man. Like, I'm trying to pull it up now. Okay, so I'm not even gonna touch that. Let's touch on her running for Congress. So she's running for Congress in California, and I'm first of all, the district she's running for has Compton in it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And
That I didn't know. I didn't look that far into it.
Warren G has already said, nah, I'm really not good with her possibly representing me in Congress, bro. Like, nah, you ain't representing my hometown, bro. Like, I wonder what Kendrick got to say. Like, I really want to know what Kendrick got to say. I want to know what Top Dog got to say. Like, the whole TDE, the whole New Compton wave, SZA, everybody. I want to know what they got to say about Stacey Dash representing them, man.
Well, she won't. Well, technically, she may represent the area. She's not representing them.
I like the way you said that. So she's representing the area that they're from. Okay, so I mean, it's in the area that's traditionally Democratic stronghold in California. So she probably has no chance in hell of winning. But the thing is, like you said, she represents the area, but she doesn't represent them. Now think about it, man. We remember Stacey Dash from all them hood movies. You know what I'm saying? All the BET movies. And the thing is, meanwhile, Stacey Dash looked at herself like she was in Clueless. And so, yeah, she doesn't represent the people of that district. She's just gonna represent whatever the establishment is for her. So I guess that's a good. I like the way. That's why you the voice of reason, girl.
Yeah,
I try.
I wonder what her motivation is, though. I really wonder what her motivation is for that. Kind of odd.
Well, I think she may be mistaken. I think she's trying to piggyback off of, people openly supporting, African Americans, people of color, being in office. She's a woman.
Here's the thing: people openly supporting African Americans in conservative spaces.
Well, she doesn't count though. Like she doesn't fit the mold. But I don't think she doesn't understand that she doesn't fit that mold. So she's thinking, oh, this is the perfect opportunity. Now's my time. I can jump in. They're going to support me. Why not? No, you don't count.
I think that she may mistakenly view herself as the conservative version of Kamala Harris, Senator Kamala Harris, which she could not carry Kamala Harris's briefcase as far as I'm concerned. So.
Nope.
I mean,
it's a no for me, dog.
It's a no for me, dog.
Here's food for thought. So now, with all this Dash talk, is she now a culture vulture?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think so.
Here's the thing. Can we call her that, considering that she was a major part of it, 20 years ago? Can we call her a vulture, or can we call her a sellout, which are two different things?
But how can you be a sellout and an opportunist at the same time?
I'm not gonna spoil Dame's book, but he breaks down his definition of culture vulture, and it's very similar to what she's doing.
Is it somewhat when you?
Maybe we'll come back.
Let's come back to that. Okay. Let's actually. You know what? Yeah. Let's turn this into a book club. I'm gonna buy the book tomorrow. I'm gonna read over the weekend. And, we're going to come back next week, because next week is the relationship show. Mm. We're having another relationship show.
Oh, God.
Guess who's going to be on? Real, guess who's...
All right.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting one.
It's going to be an interesting show. So, let's move on to the next one. Speaking of culture vultures and people that we want to vote off the island, Omarosa. Yeah. She said that leaving the White House felt like being freed off a plantation. Well, at least you was a house nigga. I'm trying to stop saying that word.
That you volunteered to be. You volunteered.
Right. She volunteered to be on the plantation. Like, can you imagine a sign going up saying slaves needed, and just people saying, oh, yeah, I try that. Like, come on, man. Like, that's essentially what she did.
I can't even describe the feeling that I have, like, on the inside.
The disgust. I'm just disgusted by her. Like, I'm disgusted. Like,
the potential tell-all book that may be coming out.
And I honestly think that she did it with that in mind.
I do too.
I think she was thinking 2-3 steps ahead, and she can't. And she looked at it as a long hustle.
She's dragged this thing out this long. Like when she first left, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to tell it all." Well, she hasn't said much, and so my initial thought was, well, she can't say much because I'm pretty sure, there are some limitations there on what she is able to say. Right. What she can say, but she's dragging it out. And
she
I
went
think
on
she's
Big Brother UK.
Yeah, I think she's definitely trying to create a little
That's
buzz
exactly
for a book.
what she's doing, though.
Yeah, she's
You
definitely.
saw how on the first episode, of course, the whole hot take was about her and what she said about Trump. And then the second episode, she said some more stuff about Trump. She's building the audience right now.
Yep.
She's building the desire for it. Wait, the book, the TV series Inside the White House, the 60-minute special, all of that's coming. She's going to have a Netflix miniseries about the White House in a minute.
Dear God,
I mean, she is about the bag, though.
Now, that's a damn reason to boycott Netflix if they do that shit right there. I would boycott the shit out of Netflix. I would be like, Monique, baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, my love.
Sugar, honey, darling.
You know what I'm
pumpkin,
saying?
sweet pea.
You know what I'm saying? I would totally boycott the shit out of Netflix if that ever happened. Like, I'm dead serious about that. I am dead ass serious. The moment they give Omarosa the bag for her tell-all series, I'm like, Netflix no more. You know, I'm a rock with Hulu. Sorry, only Hulu only. That's it. I'm bootlegging everything
Yes, sir.
Netflix. So
I don't see it on Netflix,
Hulu
though.
or
I do
Cody.
see it being
That's
big
all I
network.
need.
I see it being NBC. Well, maybe not ABC, because ABC is kind of kind of conservative. I see NBC. I
Definitely not
see.
Fox.
I see. I want. Could I see it on CNN?
Nah.
Do you
no.
think
I
they
don't know
would give
if CNN is
Omarosa?
that petty.
You don't know if CNN is
I
that
don't know.
petty, sir.
I don't know, man. I want to give him more credit.
Shh. I'm not giving Chicken Noodle News no credit, bro.
She won't be on Oprah Super Soul Sunday.
I get she definitely
won't
won't
be
be on
on there.
Oprah. She won't be on OWN at all. Oprah like, girl, bye.
She won't be on TV One. She won't be on none of that.
I want to see her on The View.
I don't.
I want to see her on there.
Why?
Because I want to see how Sherry reacts to her. That's the only reason I want to see her on The View. That's the only reason I want to see her on there. Now, what I can respect about Sherry is that she's very, respectful and all that. But she still got a little hood in her. And you can tell. Like, I want to see her. I want Omarosa to come out her mouth sideways one time. And I want to see Sherry and Whoopi be like, wait a minute.
Yeah, because Whoopi will still she'll get you together.
Whoopi will gather you very quickly. You know what I'm saying? Believe it or not, Joy will too. The fact that I know the whole damn cast of The View makes me nervous.
I was trying not to say anything.
I need to reevaluate my life. Now that I think about
Better
it.
than me, bro.
Thanks, Rail. Appreciate it. Thank you for, helping me feel better about myself and knowing.
It's called balance.
Thank you.
Hey, honesty up front, man.
Got you. Let's move on. So we posted this video that's pretty much gone viral at this point. I've seen it on some major news outlets now. Of a man, he took this video in a McDonald's at Myrtle Beach, and he says that he went in. He got this homeless guy from across the street and brought him in the restaurant, paid for his food, and then the restaurant management or employees or whoever decided to call the police and have the homeless man thrown out, and say he was trespassing. And so the guy was, of course, not too happy after having paid for the food for the man. And, he lets it be known very quickly and very easily. Now, I have a certain feeling and thought about Myrtle Beach, but I want to get you guys' thoughts on this first. Let's start with you, Miss EP.
I feel like Myrtle Beach is very big on image. I thought long and hard about it. Of course, I always try to play, devil's advocate and look at things from various perspectives. And I feel like the guy who probably recorded the video that bought him the meal, he was possibly a visitor. So you don't really know his habits on a regular basis. I'm not justifying at all the things that happened that day. But say, for instance, that particular restaurant, they may have people complain about his behavior, 9 times out of 10. Majority of the time before that particular day. And then on that day, he may have just not been cutting up to where he had complaints, and you happen to buy him something to eat and you don't understand that there's a bigger picture behind it. I don't think the actions were correct at all. I think they definitely could have let the man stay there and eat, but before we jump the gun, we have to sometimes think about what the bigger picture is.
Real, what you got to say?
Well, Miss EP kind of took the wind out of my sails because that was very well worded, and I was ready to be the irate black man. But I got personal history with Myrtle Beach. I know the atmosphere and the attitude. And like you said, yeah, Myrtle Beach is big on image. They're big on tourism. And me and yourself both have that negative image of Myrtle Beach from Bike Week.
Let me say this, man. Fuck Myrtle Beach. Okay, I'm gonna say that. Fuck Myrtle Beach as a staff, record label, and as a motherfucking crew. Okay, that's just how I feel about Myrtle Beach. That ragged ass loop that they put in place for us during quote unquote Black Bike Week is just the most raggedest shit ever. The NAACP.
Why do
is
we
suing
keep going
right
there?
now.
Why do we do that?
I'm not going. I'm not going.
I'm not going either. I'm going to Texas,
people have started going to Miami now. Virginia Beach is doing something this year. They're doing their own bike week in Virginia Beach.
Shout out to Biloxi, Mississippi. They have a bike week.
Biloxi has a bike week?
They do have a bike week.
Biloxi?
Yeah.
Mississippi has
Yo, New Orleans has a bike week. I think it's in February. Well, I think it was in February,
I think the one in Mississippi is in April. Either March or April.
Well, I know that Virginia Beach is challenging Myrtle Beach for the title, and I think I'm going to go to Virginia Beach this year.
Virginia Beach can have it. I think
Virginia
Myrtle
Beach
Beach
totally
doesn't want it, which is why things have gotten the way they. Well, I'm not going to say have gotten that way, which is why things have,
I'm definitely hopping on my scoop, and I'm riding to Virginia Beach this year. I am not doing Myrtle. Myrtle will not get another dime of my money. I work very, very hard for my monies, and I have to put up with a whole lot of stuff for my monies, and I'm not taking my monies down there where I'm not appreciated, where I'm not wanted, where businesses shutter their doors and all that kind of stuff because it's quote unquote Black Bike Week. Meanwhile, when you go down for Harley Week, you got women flashing and people peeing on the street and all kind of random stuff, the same stuff that they say we do, but nobody gets touched down there for Harley Week. But when we have Black Bike Week, because there might be people down there with big rims and, bikes, we do our own type of thing as black bikers. They want to treat us a different way. Nah, fuck Myrtle Beach. And fuck the Myrtle Beach PD for treating this dude the way they treated him, man. They could have let that man finish his food, man, before they did all that,
I feel like
man.
I wish I had music to play.
Exactly.
I don't know if I wanted it to be like a deep, like hip hop beat, or if I wanted it to be the song like from the animal shelter, the Humane Society. I don't know which
in the
one.
arms of an angel. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I'm feeling like Pac right now on Hit 'Em Up for real. Fuck Myrtle Beach as a staff record label and as a motherfucking crew. That's just how I feel.
That'll work.
You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much.
That's just really how I feel about Myrtle Beach as an entity. As a whole, and if you got a problem with it, come see me,
when
Myrtle.
they started closing businesses.
Yeah,
when
fuck
they started
Myrtle.
closing businesses for Black Bike Week. For Black Bike Week, people were like, "Nah, we're gonna close down for that week. We're gonna take." And look, they mask it. Some of them are gonna take vacation, and they have to recuperate after
Harley
Bike Week. No, they just
nah,
didn't want to serve.
let's look at it like
they
this.
want to serve us.
Yo, and this is what I want to say, man. I feel like this: if number one stunners, Rough Riders, and some of these other larger motorsports clubs and motorcycle clubs would be like, yo, we not doing Myrtle. And they all went somewhere else, like Virginia Beach, like Miami, you know what I'm saying? Like Daytona even, if possible. Myrtle would be begging for people to come back to Black Bike Week. Begging for it.
They benefit from those black dollars. I think somebody definitely needs to do a call for action or something, shut down Myrtle Beach.
Well, the NAACP is suing them now for racial discrimination. And my thing is, I don't see it going anywhere. I mean, we got to take into account it is still South Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that's just the reality of it. But at the end of the day, I really hope that black people just wake up and go somewhere else because I don't like. I mean, I hate to shift it to Black Bike Week, but you have to take it there because you had this homeless guy being mistreated, and then you got the NAACP this same week filing a suit for racial discrimination. So, fuck Myrtle Beach as a whole entity, man. I'm done with Myrtle Beach, period. I ain't going.
Yeah.
I ain't going to Myrtle.
I ain't going either. I ain't been in the last 4 years, so I'm good.
I have a question for a side note. Mm-hmm. A little off topic. So when you have a situation like that, and a lot of black people say, I don't care if they treat me different, they still have to serve me, I'm still going anyway, I'm going to basically force the issue down their throats. Right. Mm-hmm. And then some people will take the alternate route and say, hey, well, I just don't want to go there anymore. I'll go somewhere where my money is appreciated and where I can be comfortable and so on and so forth. Which one do you think is the best route?
I think you should always go where you're celebrated and not where you're tolerated. And I say that as a hypocrite. Exactly. I say that as a hypocrite. Uh-huh. I say that completely as a hypocrite. Because, all three of us on this show today went to predominantly white institutions.
True.
We all went to PWIs.
Unfortunately.
And so I say that as a
I
hypocrite.
ain't ashamed of it, but I ain't happy.
Yeah, no, I'm not ashamed at all. I went where the finances dictated I could go. And
I
my
will
thing
say
is,
they gave me an extra $500, and that sold my decision.
well, my thing is, I just couldn't afford
I
my
went
dream
for
school.
free.
I couldn't afford my dream school. I could not afford to go to Morehouse, and that was the school that I had dreamed of since I was 11 years old, and I could not go. And then I'm not gonna talk about why I didn't go to FAMU. That's another story that has nothing.
I know.
It has nothing to do with economics, but that's just another story that I'd rather not get into right now. But that would have been my that's not to say that FAMU is not a fine institution. FAMU was not my quote unquote second choice, because FAMU was an excellent choice for anybody wanting to matriculate at the Institute of Higher Education. Yeah, I like how I use my big words right there.
You did.
But
Big word.
But I dreamed of going to Morehouse ever since Sinbad's Brain Damaged, where he was on stage and he did his hour-long HBO comedy special at Morehouse. That's when I began to dream of going to Morehouse, and I just couldn't afford it. And Alabama came through with the bag, so it is what it is. But like I said, like to go back to your original topic, I really feel like it's better to go where you're celebrated rather than tolerated. I always like to be appreciated for my patronage, as opposed to having money thrown at me or anything like that. Like, nah, man, I'm just here to get your money. I don't give a damn about you. It's the same reason why I don't patronize certain stores. I'm not gonna talk. Here's my thing: I don't talk bad about black-owned businesses like convenience stores, stuff like that. I don't do it. Because the thing is, the same people that talk bad about the black-owned businesses sometimes and be asking for discounts and all this kind of stuff will take their butt right down the street to a convenience store or a restaurant or a beauty supply store or something like that owned by somebody else and get talked to all kinds of crazy, as we saw here in Charlotte, get attacked and slammed on the floor and accused of stealing, or will have somebody talk to you through 8 inches of bulletproof glass and have them put your money on the counter and won't even look you in the eye. But we don't ever complain about that.
Yep.
And so my thing is, I like to go to businesses where, I know it's appreciated. And think about it, man, like, if I go to my barber tomorrow and be like, hey, man, I'm kind of down right now, man. I'm down on my luck. Can you just hook me up right this time and I pay you back? My barber be like, yeah. Let me take my ass to Sport Clips or Super Cuts. I go to Super Cuts, they're going to be like, nah, bro. Nah, I ain't taking no shorts, no losses. So
and then you got a 50-50 chance of getting a messed up tape up.
Right.
Well, luckily I'm bald, so
still
don't have the right. I be the
and they'll still mess it up.
I be there had a whole patch in the back of my head that I ain't even know I had.
You have a 10% coupon.
You get that coupon on my damn face. We just conditioned your scalp with what? You know what I'm saying? But no. But no, like I just to answer your question, what do you think, Rel? Do you think it's better to just they stick it in their face and force them to serve you, or go where you're appreciated rather than tolerated?
Dude, that's a hard one, because I guess it depends on what I'm doing and what my purpose is for that activity. So if I'm going to a store or just something small like that, yeah, I'm gonna go where I'm appreciated. I'll take the extra ride, go a couple extra blocks, whatever I got to do. But if it's something like I want to enjoy something in New York City that's of higher class and higher stature, but when they look at me and I'm ignored, or I don't get seated at a table, or they don't give me the best available, and I'm paying the same money that everybody else is, then I have a problem, because there may not be a compatible black-owned or more friendly establishment when I'm trying to go to an exclusive restaurant or show or something like that. So then I will push the issue of asserting myself and my value, because I am a paying patron. So it kind of comes down to what I'm doing. But most times than not, if it's my choice and it's just me by myself, screw it. I'm going to go do something else then. Because if you're not going to conform and make me conform to be tolerated. No, that's not how it's working.
Nah. My money green like yours.
I will say sometimes I will admit that I've been at a restaurant or somewhere and I've had a server, and that server didn't seem too engaged. And, I often wonder, hey, is it because I'm black? They automatically assume that they're not going to get a good tip, so on and so forth. But I often struggle after the fact with wondering, so do I not leave a tip because your service was horrible? Or do I leave a pretty nice tip just so that you can see that there's a different side? That Like, don't judge all black people and assume that they're not going to tip you or tip you well.
Well, you've been out to eat with me, and you know me personally. I like to over-engage my servers. You know, and I do that for two reasons. Number one, to see if I am simply being tolerated. You know, I'm always friendly, and they could have had a bad day sometimes. Like, I'm going to be perfectly honest. When I was a server, it was some days I just wasn't feeling it, and I was having a bad day. And so I try to bring a little brightness and joy to their day. But if really they just treat me like, you know, crap, then shoot. You know, I'll be that stereotype if that's the case. You know, I don't pay for bad service. I'm sorry. And I'm really big on this. Having worked in customer service for a very, very long time, I'm really big on that. Like, if I go into a shoe store or if I go into a clothing store and I'm not greeted within a certain amount of time, I'll leave and won't spend a dime. Like, I won't spend a single dime. I will never forget the time I walked into Joseph A. Bank. And, you know, I was making, I make good money. You know what I'm saying? I have a little money in my pocket. If I'm coming in Joseph A. Bank, I'm coming to spend some money. You know, and I was fresh, and it's actually, I was fresh back from Afghanistan one time. So I had a lot of money to spend. I had to get a whole new, like, dress clothes wardrobe or whatever. And so I walk in, and so, and this is what was wild to me. The black dude said, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good." I said, "Man, I'm here to get, you know, look at a couple things." He was like, "Okay." And then he looked at me. I had on, like, some sneakers, some jeans, and a polo. And he was like, "Okay, well, you know, just look around. Let me know what you think." I said, "Oh, okay. You know, all right, cool." And so I walked over and I started looking at a couple of the suits. And this white guy came over and said, "Hey, you look like you're about a such and such size. Why don't you try this jacket on?" I'm like, "Okay." You know, I tried it on. He said, "How you like that?" I said, "I don't really like it. I need a little bit wider in the shoulders." He said, "Try this one with a short." I said, "Okay." Boom. So he was really attentive to my needs. And the other dude, the one that initially spoke to me, he was sick when I walked out of there with 3 suits, 5 shirts, 6 pairs of socks.
I love it.
And like 4 ties. Like, he was sick. I mean, I spent a couple bands in there, you know, getting myself together for my new corporate America job, no longer over in the sandbox. And dude just kind of sat there and said, well, you know, I spoke to him for, and it was funny because the associate who really helped me was like, "I'll give you one of the suits, okay? Does that make you feel better? I'll give you one of them."
Well, that was nice.
That was nice of him, but he didn't have to do it at all. I wouldn't have gave him a damn thing.
Right.
All right. You treated that man like he just pooted in your face when he walked in the store. And he came in here to spend some bread. You know what I mean? So it was just one of those things, man. So, but let's move on to the next topic. You know, speaking of going where you're celebrated rather than tolerated, shout out to the Golden State Warriors, man.
Hey.
They did something amazing. Instead of going to the White House, you know, celebrate their NBA championship win, they went to D.C. still, but they took, you know, Kevin Durant is from D.C. I want to say he's from Southwest D.C. You know, he's from a very poor neighborhood. They went and took some kids to the African American History Museum. They went to D.C., got some kids, black, brown, white kids, and took them to the African American History Museum just to show them love. You know what I'm saying? Show some love to Kevin Durant's old stomping grounds. That, to me, is how champions act, man. That's how it should be. Could you?
100%.
Yeah, man. Could you imagine if that's what, like, the Eagles did?
I'm waiting on Agent Orange to respond.
Oh, what is he going to say? What is he going to say?
They weren't invited anyway.
Well, something stupid. Yeah, he'll probably say something stupid. He'll probably tweet about it tomorrow morning. You know, people wake up waiting on his tweets. You know what I'm saying? He'll probably tweet something like, you know, well, very disrespectful. You know, champions, it's a privilege to come spend time with me, or something. He'll preach something like that, and then just say very disrespectful, something like that, and all the snowflakes on his team will, you know, jump up and be mad at the Warriors and tell them shut up and dribble or something. So
I must say I won't say you've ruined my image of him because it was never a good one, but now I automatically associate him with the Pens. Sorry.
I mean,
it's
if the shoe fits.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be perfectly honest. If Donald Trump sat down next to you and you heard some rumbling, you wouldn't be shocked.
Well, you opened up a whole nother like can of worms in regards to questions that I have about him. Like, what does he smell like? Or
I mean, probably moose and failure. Like, I'm just saying, like hair moose and failure.
Rubbing alcohol and mothballs.
I'm trying to tell you. He smells like oppression and tyranny. What you think he smells?
You know, when people so when people do, I'll just say number 2, and then they spray certain like air freshener and it doesn't match. Like you can't spray any kind of air freshener after you have a bowel movement. And some people think you can spray anything. And so what happens is the 2 scents together create like an atomic bomb of a smell.
Double stink.
I think that's what he probably smells like. He probably wears some sort of cologne that mixed with his own natural body odor, it probably smells really bad.
Oh my God. You just said he smelled like Money House Blessing and ball cheese. Like, think about that. Like, you just wrong. You are just absolutely
Somebody asked
wrong.
Omarosa.
Yeah, somebody asked Omarosa.
Put it in the book.
Yeah, somebody call Omarosa.
Shit. Okay, sorry. Sorry. I'm trying.
Get your just hilarious. So sorry. Nah, that's probably what he smelled like though, for real. Anyway, so there's another thing we want to talk about before we get to some of the meat of our conversation today. There's this so LaToya Luckett has this video. So you tell us about it, Miss EP, about what this new project that Miss LaToya Luckett is working on.
I just saw the video, which apparently I'm a little late, but I just saw the video where LaToya Luckett announced that she is going to play the role of Frankie in the play of Set It Off. I'm super
So they have
excited.
Set It Off, the stage play.
Yes.
Is it a musical?
No. There will be.
You gotta ask, because LaToya Luckett sings.
LaToya Luckett,
DeBrat is in it.
Kyla
DeBrat
Pratt
raps. I don't know if Kyla Pratt can sing or not.
and Demetria McKinney. I don't think. No, they're not.
Demetria
singing.
McKinney can sing.
Yeah, but they're not.
Well,
singing.
I wouldn't know. I don't know if she can sing or can
No,
she just
she
hold
can
it.
sing.
She can sing.
No, she can sing.
I do. I seem to remember her actually having like a single or something at some point.
No, she did, and you know she actually played the role of Whitney.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She did good.
Didn't know that.
Is it? You learn something new every day.
She did good.
Was I drunk and just missed that?
Probably.
Yeah, you just gonna.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Real, you want to go see that?
I don't know yet. I'm gonna wait for the reviews. I don't know yet.
Is it on Broadway or is it on the chilling circuit?
You know what? They're doing a tour, several cities. I don't think it's a Broadway.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine.
It might be an off Broadway.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be off Broadway. But I'm like, it's just gonna be like I want to see like how Tyler Perry-ish is gonna be.
Well, I kind of got questions because certain movies I feel like you need to leave them alone because stage play or not, I don't see you recreating the scene of Cleo in the old school getting shot up at the end. Like you can't give me that feeling through a stage play. And I need that. I mean,
you're right.
That song, as soon as you hear day after day, I was like, man, when she gonna die again? Like, every time I watch this movie, this happens. She be dying and shit. You ever watch some movies in which, like, the certain scenes you can, like, change? Like, when Paul killed himself in The Temptations. Like, I always be like, don't do it, Paul. Paul, don't do it.
I talk to Paul every time. Come on, Paul.
We've seen that movie. We know when it's coming.
Yeah. Temptations forever. Come on, Paul, don't do it.
Stop getting teary-eyed. I feel like a punk.
All right, let me listen.
I love Paul. I was born by the river. Okay, I'm back.
That's what you're doing? That's what we're going to do?
I was trying to come back. I couldn't. Sorry.
And so you're going to sing Sam Cooke?
Yeah.
Okay, change gonna come. Yeah,
I kind of to those.
Hey, yo, real, hit that note again.
Nah, bruh. We good.
It gives me the same vibe.
Trying to keep the audience.
right. Okay, so I wanted to wrap up our discussion on Black Panther this week before we jump into Monique. And there was only one real aspect of the discussion that I wanted to jump into. I had a couple more topics, but I don't want to beat a dead horse with Black Panther. It's still Wakanda forever. But there was one aspect of the movie that I wanted to touch on that we didn't touch on last week. there's this theory that I have, this thought process that I have. So you look at, I'm not going to call him Killmonger because that was a moniker that was given to him by certain people, the colonizers essentially. So I'm going to call him Eric. So you look at T'Challa and Eric, and they're cousins, okay? They're both warriors. They're both strong, powerful black men in two different ways and in two different veins of life. They're both intelligent men because what people didn't know was that Eric's character was actually very, very highly educated. They didn't really focus on that as much. And T'Challa had multiple Ivy League degrees as well in the comic book. But there's this thing that just gnaws at me every time I think about both of those characters, and that's the cycle of pain that exists in black fatherhood. I know that's kind of deep. Okay, so let me paint a picture right quick. So you got T'Challa, who grew up, in a household where his father was there every single day, and he was really on some, I look up to my father, I revere my father, I protect my father, I love my father type thing. And he was walking in his father's footsteps. And that's something that a lot of us aspire for our sons to do at times, And so the thing is, that's an active father-son relationship. And then you had Eric, whose father was taken away by violence, and he kind of had to go through and learn on his own. But even after that, the scene where, he goes back and goes to the spirit realm and speaks to his father, you see how he's still in many ways just still that little boy, back then, who found his father murdered in the apartment. And so that begs the question, and I've flipped this over and over and over in my head as a father and as a son. I'm like, is it inevitable? And I can't speak for other races because I've never been white. I've never been Hispanic. But is it somewhat inevitable that there is a sins of the father that are revisited upon the son in every single generation of black father-son relationships? Is that what we're looking at, whether the father is there or not? Is that something we're looking at? Is that something that was represented there? What do you guys think?
Man, that was deep. You on to something with that. Damn. I don't know
I
what
was
angle
trying to
I
wait
want
and
to
let
take
the
on
other
that.
man speak first on that topic.
Gather your thoughts, Rel. Let's hear what Miss EP got to say.
My thoughts about it,
All
I
right.
feel like Eric definitely represented the young men that are left behind without their father figure. But if you think about it, T'Challa also, even when he first visited his father, I guess, in the spiritual world or whatnot, his father told him, basically he was the Black Panther now, and to basically
Get up,
to
you're a
act like
king.
it. Right, get up, you're a king. And I think the difference comes into play because in that moment he still had almost like a childlike mindset, as in I need to have respect for my father. And he didn't really, I don't want to say he didn't know it, but he didn't own his place as in where he belonged, right? And then you have Eric, who also felt like he needed to fight to get to the place where he belonged. So I think you still have two young men and they have the same issue, but because one maybe had a father present and the other one didn't, the way they went about it were two separate ways. But technically it's the same thing. They started off with the same issue. If that makes sense. Not like
Very
their
well
whole
said.
childhood, but I mean in that moment of like defining who you are and defining what your purpose is, they had the same issue in trying to accept and acknowledge, like, who am I? What am I to do? So T'Challa didn't.
Well, let me add a layer to that.
Okay.
So I like what you just said, but let's take into context how they both reacted when they went to the spirit realm later in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
T'Challa was disappointed in his father
After he found out the truth.
after he found the truth. Eric's father appeared to be disappointed in him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
How does that dynamic
But
work?
that's the same thing I'm saying, though. The difference is T'Challa's father was present in his development and
I
growth.
get that. I
And
get
so
that.
when he went back to revisit his father, he ended up being able to point out some flaws and saying, yo, you were wrong about XYZ. Eric went back to revisit his father, and his father said, no, you were wrong about it. But his father wasn't present to guide him in the right direction.
Right. I get that. Now, do you think that those perspectives are indicative of what happens? And you don't have like that. There's a different relationship that a father has with a son.
Right.
So is that something that you can see? Do you think that that is pretty much standard? Like, I think that men that grow up with their fathers sometimes judge their fathers for poor decisions or actions that, really they have to struggle with now as adults. I know I've done it to my father. I can admit that fully, but some of my friends who don't have father figures in their lives, for one reason or another, do you think that their fathers would be disappointed how they turned out or are disappointed in them? Is that something that is universal, or is that something that is, unique to this particular story?
No, I definitely think it's universal.
What'd you say, Real?
Well, the interesting thing about this podcast and this show and the whole kind of sleepy movement is we keep it real, and we have a very broad perspective on this show right now. So I didn't grow up with either one of my parents, but I did have mother and father figures. Right. And this was actually a recent conversation I had with my brother about our father, because I didn't know him much. I met my real father maybe 5 or 6 times. And, we were looking back and talking about, where we're at in life now, how we made it largely without anything stable in our lives. So when you say, looking back at it, for those of us who didn't have our fathers present, would they be questionable, or would they approve of the choices we made in life versus the kind of other end of the spectrum, men who grew up with their fathers who are now critical of the decisions their fathers made? Well, obviously, yeah. As children who are misguided without parents in their life, yeah, we make some rough decisions and we learn some rough lessons, but it makes us into better people. And me personally, and I kind of feel like I connect to Eric a little bit, because he used the power of not having his father around to push him through obstacles. So that was kind of where I could relate. I used me not having my parents to push me through obstacles, where T'Challa had his father there who guided him and gave him a way or a path to manhood. But then after he was gone, he had to learn to step up. So he still had his challenges too, and had to come to the realities that Eric came to as well. So I feel like it's the same, it's two different sides of the same coin. They both learned some hard lessons at different times in their life for the same reason, lack of having a father. It was just at different times in their lives.
Okay. Well, let me take it. I'm trying not to go all the way down the rabbit hole, but I can't help it. I love these are the kind of conversations that I really do live for, and so let's take it a step further. Oh, I just lost my thought. Damn it! Never mind.
I'll piggyback there. I totally agree with what you said.
It happens. This was a deep conversation, so I get it. And I'm not trying to lose anybody, because we kind of sleepy.
Right.
We ain't all the way woke.
But we gotta sleep.
I feel like they both are hitting on the same things, and now they set it up for the next movie to where Killmonger was right. I'm just saying that because of the T-shirt, and T'Challa knows what he needs to do next.
Yeah.
So I feel like they both learned by the end of that movie what they did right, what they did wrong, and what their parents did right and did wrong. Because there was another thing not too many people are talking about. There's a little clip. Everybody's talking about the clip about, I'd rather, jump into the oceans like my ancestors. Everybody's talking about that. But nobody mentioned the fact that Eric put emphasis on his father not bringing him back early enough, bringing him back to Wakanda early enough. And I felt like that was a point of resentment with him and his father. But, there's so many deep dives on Black Panther right now. We can go any direction, 50 different ways, and come up with a plausible answer to everything.
Right.
I often touch on this superhero complex. It's something I completely made up. And I feel like a lot of people that grow up, whether you have one parent, 2 parents, it doesn't matter. You often look at your parent as if they are your superhero. And then there's something that happens in life where as you even get older and you start to realize things and you start to learn things, and you have to accept the fact that they're not superheroes. They're just parents, and they're still flawed, and they didn't do everything right. They didn't teach you maybe what you wanted to be taught, but they gave you what they had, right? And so you have to kind of just accept them for who they are. And I feel like in the movie, it kind of showed how him recognizing some things after the fact. You kind of have to backtrack a little bit. So if you did kind of grow up with your parents, you still will learn the same lesson a different way as that person that didn't grow up with their parent. The person that didn't grow up with their parent, I don't want to make it seem like they have an advantage, but you often look at things from more of a realistic point of view. Like, you understand that things aren't always the way they seem. And then the person that, this is my own opinion, the person that did grow up with their parent, they may not always have that as their first thought. Like, this may not be what it seems, because they often feel like, I grew up with my parents, they were my superhero, this, that, and the third. And then when you get older and you start to realize, oh, well, dad really did it that way, or mom did handle stuff this way, that wasn't all the way quite right. But
you start being like, dad's trash.
You kind of get the you kind of get the, you know, you get the blindfolds pulled back from over your eyes, as opposed to the kid that didn't grow up with their parents and they never developed the blindfolds. But you still end up learning those same lessons, just at different times. That's
real.
And then also we got to take into account in the movie the fact that Eric was left behind. I think you have to acknowledge the fact that even other men, that's not your son, that's your nephew, that's your cousin, you know, whatever it may be, the men that leave behind the young men that need the guidance, and you just leave them. That's the result of, that's what you get.
Right.
You have a young man that grows up full of resentment, and he's kind of lost to a certain extent. And then you have to face that of what he's grown into once he's developed into a grown man that has his own viewpoints and things that may not necessarily be 100% right, but that's something you have to face after the fact, because he was left behind.
Makes sense. Well, let's take a step forward to somebody taking a step backwards.
No.
Let's talk about Mother Monique.
Yeah.
In this interview with Leonard, a.k.a. Charlamagne the God. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I have a lot of respect for Charlamagne, because he speaks his truth. You know, he speaks truth to power to a certain extent. He's problematic at times, which is something that I will admit. You know, but for the most part, he has no problem speaking his truth. And so that's what I can appreciate about him. And I think you mentioned this earlier, Rel, that, you know, he was very respectful. He didn't come out of pocket, didn't come out the bag on Mother Monique. And I think that spoke volumes as to his point. I think that the fact that he was very consistent and kept saying, you know, well, okay, so why can't you go out and hustle yourself? You know, Monique seemed very entitled here, you know, because she was like, well, why should I have to go hustle? Well, why should, like, literally one of the greatest comics of all time, Dave Chappelle, have to go hustle? Dave Chappelle did, as Charlamagne said, 1,500 shows before he got the Netflix bag. Chris Rock went on tour, selling out arenas, selling out large venues before he got the Netflix bag. Amy Schumer sold out Madison Square freaking Garden multiple times. An international tour. And had a movie, which, you know, it wasn't a blockbuster or anything, but it was still successful. It still made money, which Monique pointed out. Yeah. And Monique was like, well, my movie made more money than Amy Schumer's. I was like, yo, but you had Danny Glover, DC Young Fly,
Gabrielle Union. They had a staff of 15 stars.
JB
so
Smooth.
Of course it was going to make money.
Yeah, JB Smooth. You had, oh my goodness, Carrie Hilson. Jesus, yes, Lord. Her fine self. Lord, she fine. But you had like all the people.
They had a whole crew.
But she's acting like she's carrying it. JB Smooth had a bigger part in the movie than she did, and more lines of that.
Facts.
So I'm like, how are you claiming that as your victory? You know what I'm saying? So, and then Tiffany Haddish reportedly was offered $800K for her comedy special, which is $300K more than they offered Monique, which she signed before Monique even started saying anything about this, according to her. Now, let's put this in perspective. Okay, let's put this in perspective. Tiffany Haddish is getting $800K for an hour worth of material. Chadwick Boseman made $875,000 for Black Panther.
That.
Now, I'm pretty sure it took a lot more for Chadwick Boseman in terms of logistically and project-wise and all that to do that Black Panther movie than it did for Tiffany Haddish to stand up there and do what she was born to do, tell jokes for an hour. And
Well,
I guarantee
let me add something to that.
Okay.
So
Let's keep in
that
mind also
800,000
that Chadwick Boseman played Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall, and every other important black man in history too. Let's keep that.
he been Jackie Robinson. He been James Brown.
James Brown.
He been everybody.
I can't wait for him to play Malcolm X. Anyway.
So I heard this today. I still haven't confirmed it, but yeah, Tiffany Haddish got $800,000 for the Netflix deal, right? It's not for a stand-up show. It's for 10 episodes that she's doing a voiceover for a character on. $800,000. That's $80,000 an episode for a voiceover. $80,000. That's not her Netflix comedy special. This is from what I heard.
Okay, so
cartoons.
Now, with that being said, let's take that into consideration. So that's 10 hours of material. Because those episodes are probably gonna be an hour apiece. So she's making $80,000 an hour. God damn! I need to make what am I doing with my life?
And I mean, it's all over the internet, and it's still everybody saying it's not confirmed that she made $800,000, but it is confirmed that it was not for a stand-up special. It's for an animated series.
So now think about it.
She only signed for 10 episodes.
Monique's special was going to be 2 hours, and she was making $250K an hour for that.